This has to be the worst and greatest villain origin story I think I've ever seen. And it was so funny. There was people last week who tried to tell me that once you see her reason for why she hates Nana, you'll understand her anger. And it boiled down to she didn't shake her hand on stage. Am I simplifying it? Sure, shoot me. But yeah, I get it. She really considered her beautiful, entered her into a beauty pageant, wanted to compete with her, wanted her to be friends. They'd hold hands, sing kumbaya, they'd be besties. And she shot her down in the middle of the public. The disrespect, the embarrassment. I must hate her now for all my life. That is the dumbest possible thing you could have done for a reason of why she hates her. And because of it, it turns into the most brilliant thing. Like, when I insult this show, I do it in compliments. Maybe backhanded compliments at times, but I appreciate the fact that the author can recognize so much of the show is dumb and rolls with it. Like, purposely is like parodying tropes and cliches. For these characters, this shit's all serious for the most part, unless a character's kind of breaking the fourth wall to say WTF. But I appreciate the fact that it's so silly at face value. And sure, there's a couple dozen people who got mad that I didn't want to marry their imaginary waifu, but you know, if you actually listened to last week's video, I said, hey, new girl, my least favorite, but I'm glad she's here. I'm glad all 10 of these girls are here, even though half of them could probably get run over by Truck Kun and I'm not going to shed a tear. But they cause for entertainment gold. But if you want me to come up here and unironically say, damn, watching a mother get thirsty and film her daughter making out with one of the other girlfriends with nosebleeds, and want me to come up here and say that is 10 out of 10 masterpiece writing, I'm going to punch you through the screen. But if you want me to say this is the dumbest and cringiest shit ever, but entertainment gold, I can do that for you. You know, to be honest, despite me always thinking the mom is the most attractive out of the bunch because she's the adult, and to be honest, when she strips herself, I think to myself, maybe I can change her. At the end of the day, I can't change crazy. She a crazy bitch and probably deserves to be locked up in some sort of insane asylum minimum. Because keep in mind, this episode boiled down to Rentaro got hard and wore a bird of some sort to cover it up. Girls were squirting all over the rooftop, with sound effects included this time, mind you. You can't even just say I'm too lewd. And then they all made out for 5 minutes. If we ever get to 100 girlfriends, it's going to take multiple episodes to go down that train. God help us all. If you want to support my work, see my full thoughts on these episodes, we got the Patreon, full and cut live reactions available exclusively over there if you're so interested. So, yeah, I did enjoy Girlfriend Number 10 more than I did last week. But it's really funny too, because I made it pretty clear in last week's video. Just because someone's like my least favorite out of the batch doesn't mean like I want them gone out of the cast. If we're actually looking at characters that piss me off the most, drug addicts that constantly are getting everyone high as a kite or turning them into babies are always actually going to be worse than the narcissists. 100%. And to be honest, yeah, I probably will bump her up a couple of spots. Her introduction made her easily 10. She's probably at like 8 now, to be honest. The mom's an interesting one because she can bounce from number 1 to number 9 pretty frequently, just depending on what she's doing, and it's a fantastic whiplash of emotion. But yeah, like there's a handful of characters I look at and they say, hey, they would normally be very sweet and adorable, but you know, if a character's gonna break the fourth wall and say, what the hell are we looking at, they're probably always gonna be number 1. It was such an experience because my favorite thing about 100 Girlfriends is the lack of logic, but they present it as there is logic. So we have this like beauty off. We go down the list of girlfriends and we have to say like what's beautiful about them. And if you say something that's beautiful, you get a point. It all goes fine until we get to adorable, quiet Shizuka. And at face value, why they denied some of Nano's like, you know, beautiful compliments were that's cute, not beautiful. Whatever. I can argue that they're the same, but that's fine. And the first one that she gets is your skirt's long. Like that's what it boiled down. It felt a little rigged, I'm not gonna lie. It felt a little rigged that I was like, okay, if you're gonna shoot down her cute comments as not being beautiful, but we're gonna say the long skirt is like something rigged was going on there. And we got to witness the most glorious thing we have ever seen in this show. Our boy, with each of the he would get rid of his eyebrow. Like, he wanted to make it a dead even split so no one would have to leave. He turned into the slow cousin of the god upstairs. And that scene was glorious, man. Like, he was, there was something about that design. And I really examined it. Because I'm a big fan of that, whether it's the unnatural way a character was holding her titties in a microphone last week, or the way that bird head was being held up. Because if you really examine that bad boy, it went up his skirt thing. He had to have been rock hard to keep that thing up like that. That's all I'm saying. And I have to respect that. The more this episode went on, the more I love the stupidity. And I think my favorite thing about this show is that I can split the cast down the middle. One half of the cast, I genuinely, like, probably 8 out of 10 times I say I enjoy them. Like, they're dumb, but I enjoy them. I don't really have too much negativity to say. And then the other half, I borderline hate. But the brilliant thing about this show is that no matter how much I hate a character, depending on the scene in question, I'm so happy they're there. The more the characters piss me off, the less of a normal romance anime this is, and the more meme-worthy it is. When characters are deadass saying this is just like Food Wars, I'm going to enjoy that more than when they're trying to make me emotionally be like, oh, that's so sweet, because I'm never truly going to be in that camp. Because this show is a freaking parody. For the characters in question, this bullshit is perfect for them. I don't deny that at all. But it's the fact that this show, anyone with a semblance of sanity who looks at this, whether character in the show or the viewer in question, is like, this shit is dumb, it makes no sense, they're all insane. But if you get roped into Rentro's harem bullshit, you think it's the sweetest thing ever. And it's such a fun experience. And I just love how, you know, if you look at season 1, right, there was a couple of moments where, like, they did try to pull on your heartstrings. There was a couple of moments. Initially, like, oh my god, girlfriend couldn't stick around, or Shizuka's, introduction. And then season 2 came around, and they said, hey, whatever semblance of sanity and maturity we had, out the window. It's meme town for days. And the show has went from a 10 out of 10 enjoyment of season 1 to a 100 out of 10 brain dead enjoyment that I cannot look away from. And I unironically think it's one of the most fun anime in the past few years. I will absolutely criticize and hate on characters because half of them are brain dead, and I love that. But it's not me saying I dislike it. But of course, we live in a society that can't read past headlines, so they make their own opinions of things. And it does make for very exploitable viewers, but it's always funny. Let me know your thoughts and feels down below. What did you think of this episode? And reminder, this airs on TV. And that's a glorious thing to remember, given the borderline series it wants to be. Your thoughts. If you like, if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell. And like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Neck, Goron201, OG, Mary Lou Bulchert, KB, Gusen, and we also have Pavel Krostiv. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You all have a good one.